So, look, PS5's been out for a few years now, and we've finally got enough killer RPGs to actually rank their combat systems properly. And here's the thing, when I say worst to best, I mean we're starting at really damn good and ending at absolutely genre-defining. Every game on this list does something special with combat, whether that's making turn-based feel like an action game or making action feel like a tactical puzzle. Today we're counting down the 10 best combat systems you can play on PS5 right now. Let's get into it.
Starting at number 10, we've got Sea of Stars, and honestly, this is the perfect example of taking a retro formula and making it feel modern without losing what made it special in the first place. The core idea here is the active turn-based system. Think Super Mario RPG or Chrono Trigger. You're not just selecting attacks and watching animations play out. Every single move you make has a timing component. When Valere swings her staff or Zale slashes with his sword, you've got to hit that button at the exact frame of impact to trigger a double hit. Same thing on defense. Time your blocks right or you're eating full damage. Now, what makes this interesting is the lock system. When enemies start charging up their big moves, you'll see a sequence of icons pop up above them. Sword, moon, sun, whatever. You've got a limited number of turns to match those icons by hitting them with the right damage types. Break all the locks, and you cancel their attack entirely. Break most of them, and you reduce the damage. It's basically a puzzle you're solving in real time while managing your resources. But here's where it gets a bit frustrating. Sometimes the turn order and your available mana just don't line up. You'll get into situations where breaking the locks is mathematically impossible based on pure RNG. You're sitting there going, I did everything right, and still eating a massive hit because the game decided you couldn't have the turns you needed. That lack of control keeps it at number 10.
At number 9, we've got Tales of Arise, which is basically, what if we made anime combat look insane, but also kind of messy? The combat here is fast, flashy, and runs at 60 FPS on PS5, which is essential because things get chaotic. You're doing ground combos, launching enemies into the air, and the whole thing's built around the boost strike system. Every enemy has a break gauge, and when you fill it by maintaining combos and using boost attacks, these are character-specific moves like Alphen breaking shields or Rinwell interrupting spells, you can trigger these crazy cinematic finishing moves. Against regular enemies, it feels incredible. You're basically directing this over-the-top action sequence where everyone's working together to absolutely demolish whatever's in front of you. The flow is excellent, but then you hit a boss and everything falls apart. Bosses have permanent super armor until very specific damage thresholds, which means all that juggling and combo extension you learned, completely useless. They just walk through your attacks like you're not even there. So instead of this dynamic back and forth, boss fights become wars of attrition where you're chipping away at massive health bars while dodging one-shot mechanics and watching your cure points drain. Also, the visual noise is rough. When you've got multiple characters casting spells and using artes simultaneously, the screen becomes a particle effect explosion. You literally cannot see enemy telegraphs sometimes. Style over substance is cool until you can't see what's killing you.
Number 8 is Cyberpunk 2027, specifically the 2.0 update. Because pre-2.0 combat was basically who has the bigger number. The complete skill tree overhaul changed everything. What they did was shift from passive stat increases to actual behavioral changes. The reflexes tree now gives you air dashing and the ability to deflect bullets with katanas. The body tree lets you throw enemies like ragdolls and enables this adrenaline rush mechanic. Technical ability has the Edge Runner perk that pushes your cyberware to the edge of psychosis for massive buffs, which is brilliant because it integrates the game's theme of losing your humanity into the mechanics. Melee combat went from being a clumsy afterthought to a legitimate primary play style. The Sandevistan time dilation builds feel incredible. You're slowing time, closing gaps with dash attacks, and the finisher animations actually have weight now. You can block projectiles, parry melee strikes, and there's a genuine rhythm to it. The build diversity is where it shines. You can make a full netrunner that stacks quick hacks to create elemental explosions, or a David Martinez-style brawler with gorilla arms and Sandevistan, or a stealth hacker that never fires a shot. The freedom's there, but the PS5 haptics implementation is inconsistent. Driving feels great with the adaptive triggers simulating gear shifts and tire traction. Combat, though, the feedback from melee impacts and gun recoil doesn't have the texture you get in first-party titles like Demon's Souls or Returnal. It's functional, but it doesn't blow you away.
At number 7, we've got Demon's Souls, and this is here specifically for how pure it is. Bluepoint didn't reinvent the wheel. They perfected the original 2009 vision with modern tech. The entire combat philosophy is animation commitment. When you swing a greatsword, you are locked into that animation until it finishes. There's no canceling into a dodge. Every button press has consequences, and that creates this incredibly deliberate rhythm. You're not button mashing, you're spacing, waiting for openings, and committing to strikes only when you're certain. What elevates the PS5 version is the DualSense integration. And I'm not talking about gimmicks. This is functional feedback. When your sword hits a shield, the controller delivers this sharp, metallic vibration that you feel in your palms. A successful parry, instant haptic confirmation that lets you react to the riposte window faster than visual confirmation alone. Fire spells crackle. Visceral attacks have this crushing weight. It genuinely reduces the gap between you and the character on screen. The problem is, compared to later FromSoft games, the mechanical toolkit is limited. There's no weapon arts, no guard counters, no dedicated jump button for aerial attacks. The AI still has the primitive pathfinding from 2009. It looks gorgeous, but it moves like a PS3 game. So while it's the perfected version of a foundational system, it's still just that foundation. It doesn't have the tactical variety of what came after.
Number 6 is Dragon's Dogma 2. And this game is absolute chaos in the best and worst ways. The defining mechanic is the grab system. You and your AI pawns can physically climb onto large monsters, like actually latch onto them and stab specific body parts. Want to kill a Cyclops efficiently? Climb its back and go for the eye. A griffin trying to fly away? If enough of you grab its legs, your combined weight grounds it. The physics are wild. I've seen a Cyclops trip, fall across a chasm, and accidentally create a bridge my party used to cross. That's emergent gameplay. The pawn AI is revolutionary. These companions learn. If you consistently use fire against griffins, your pawn will start enchanting weapons with fire in future encounters. They'll catch you when you fall from heights, or launch you into the air for aerial attacks. When it works, it feels like genuine cooperation. But the chaos comes at a cost. There's no hard lock on, so you're soft-locked and sometimes swinging at nothing. The visual clarity is a nightmare when your sorcerer pawn casts a tornado or lightning storm. You straight up can't see enemy telegraphs. And by the late game, if you're high level, you kill monsters so fast that the interesting physics interactions never have time to happen. The lack of difficulty scaling means the playground becomes trivial. Also, the targeting issues are frustrating when you're trying to hit a specific limb. You'll be aiming for a monster's head, and your character just decides to attack the floor instead. At number 5, Persona 5 Royal is the best traditional turn-based combat on the console, hands down. The genius here is UI/UX design. In most RPGs, menus are a barrier between you and the action. In P5R, the menu is the action. Commands are mapped to face buttons, triangle for persona skills, X for attack, square for items, so you're not scrolling through lists. The animations are snappy, the visual feedback is instant, and the whole thing flows like an action game despite being turn-based. The core mechanic is the one more system expanded with baton pass. Hit an enemy's weakness and you get an extra turn. Royal lets you pass that turn to another party member, and each pass increases damage and healing output. A full chain across all 4 party members results in a massive damage multiplier and 0 SP cost for the final ability. What this does is turn party synergy into an active puzzle. You're analyzing enemy weaknesses, constructing chains that end with your heavy hitter, and the whole thing rewards you for using your full roster instead of just spamming your strongest character. It's tactical without being slow. The issue is difficulty balance. By mid-game, the sheer volume of tools, baton pass chains, showtime moves, technical damage bonuses, means you're often wiping enemy squads before they act. The challenge becomes SP economy over long dungeon runs, not the combat encounters themselves. It's less, can I beat this fight, and more, can I make it to the boss without running out of resources? Still, the presentation and flow are unmatched. It's turn-based combat that respects your time.
Number 4 is Baldur's Gate 3, and this is the deepest tactical sandbox on this list, period. The combat is pure D&D 5th edition adapted to a video game. Every turn, you've got movement, an action, and a bonus action. And understanding what falls into each category is the key to mastery. The PS5 gamepad implementation uses radio menus to manage hundreds of spells and items. It's not perfect for speed, but features like area search, holding X to scan for interactables, smooth out the transition from mouse and keyboard. What makes this special is systemic interactivity. The battlefield isn't static, it's a collection of variables. You can shove enemies off cliffs for instant kills, dip your weapon in fire for bonus damage, cast lightning on a puddle to electrocute everyone standing in it, stack crates for high ground to get a +2 attack bonus. The community calls it barrelmancy, carrying explosive barrels to set up massive pre-fight traps. In tactician mode, the AI is ruthless. It targets low AC characters, focuses concentration casters, uses environmental hazards against you, and will absolutely finish off downed party members. A single bad RNG roll can spiral into a party wipe. The friction is pacing. A single encounter can take 30 to 45 minutes. If you lose because of a string of bad dice rolls, which is core D&D, the time tax of replaying is significant. Also, while the radial menus work, navigating multiple wheels of icons at high levels requires muscle memory that takes time to develop. But the tactical freedom is unreal. It's not the most visceral combat, but it's the most thoughtful.
At number 3, we've got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the perfect hybrid of action and turn-based strategy. The core loop revolves around the ATB gauge, but unlike the 1997 version, Rebirth makes you earn ATB by engaging in real-time combat, attacking, blocking, dodging. The action phase isn't filler, it's your resource generation engine for the RPG phase where you cast spells and use abilities. This solves the active waiting problem that plagues other hybrids. The flow of battle is dictated by pressure and stagger. First, you exploit weaknesses or dodge specific attacks to pressure enemies. Then, you fill the stagger gauge rapidly. Finally, when staggered, enemies take significantly increased damage, often 160% or higher depending on your upgrades. That's your window to unload everything. What really sets this apart is the synergy system. Synergy skills are free actions you can use while guarding. Orethus calling a bodyguard to block projectiles, Cloud launching Tifa into the air. Synergy abilities cost party charges, earned by spending ATB, and provide insane buffs like infinite MP for short bursts or raising limit break levels. The system demands character switching. You can't just play Cloud and ignore the party. You need to actively swap to maximize ATB generation and synergy usage. The party feels like a cohesive unit instead of AI bystanders. Unlike Tales of Arise's damage sponge bosses, the stagger system provides clear vulnerability windows that reward execution. You're not just chipping away, there's setup, execution, and payoff. It's the best of both worlds.
Number 2 is Stellar Blade, and this is Sekiro, but accessible with deep RPG layers. The combat centers on the balance gauge. Perfect parries negate damage and deplete enemy balance points. Break their balance and you get a retribution, a cinematic, high-damage critical. The perfect parry timing is noticeably more forgiving than Sekiro's, still requiring precision but accessible enough for general RPG audiences while keeping that satisfying skill-based feel intact. But unlike Sekiro's limited toolkit, Stellar Blade has a deep skill tree tied to 2 resource economies. Beta energy, generated by damage and parries, spent on beta skills, powerful abilities that interrupt enemy hyper armor. Burst energy, generated by perfect dodges and counters, spent on burst skills for massive AoE damage or buffs. This creates a snowball effect. Playing defensively well gives you offensive resources. The better you parry, the more special moves you unlock. It's a positive feedback loop that rewards skill mastery. Visual clarity is excellent. Unblockable attacks are color-coded. Yellow equals dodge, blue equals blink, teleport behind, purple equals repulse, push back to expose weak points. There's no guessing. The DualSense implementation is chef's kiss. The controller speaker emits a distinct clang on successful parries, separate from the main audio. Haptic feedback provides textures for rain, footsteps on metal, blade impacts. It's multi-sensory. The only reason it's not number 1 is that it's a single-character action game. It does what it does perfectly, but it doesn't have the scope of the top pick.
And at number 1, obviously, Elden Ring. This is the combat system by which all others are judged. The hidden meta that most players never fully engage with is the stance system. Every enemy has an invisible poise meter. Deplete it, and you get a critical hit window. The hierarchy of stance damage is complex. Guard counters, new to Elden Ring, block and attack, immediately counterattack for massive stance damage, this revitalized shield play. Jump attacks, safer, and deal high stance damage, encouraging verticality. Charged heavies, riskiest moves, highest stance reward. Every encounter becomes a risk-reward calculation, a safe light attack or risk a charged heavy to break stance faster. You can even build specifically for stagger-locking bosses with the stone-barbed cracked tear in your physic flask. Then there's Ashes of War, the ultimate expression of RPG freedom. You can swap special moves and scaling properties on weapons at any side of grace. A single Uchigatana can transform from a Dex bleed weapon with unsheathed to a magic scaling intelligence weapon with glint blade phalanx. Struggling with a fast boss? Equip Bloodhound Step for invincibility frames. Need range against a dragon? Equip Stormblade. The eye is controversial because it adapts to player behavior in ways that can feel like reading your inputs. Certain bosses will punish healing attempts if you try to chug an Estus at the wrong moment or distance, forcing you to find safe windows during the recovery animations instead of panic healing whenever you want. It's not cheating, it's teaching you to respect enemy attack patterns and find proper openings. Why is it number one? Because it offers unparalleled agency. You can play as a parry duelist, a summoner, a sorcerer nuking from range, or a colossal weapon user trading hits. The game supports every playstyle with deep interlocking systems. It's Demon Souls weight plus a massive variety of tools. It's the combat sandbox that remains unrivaled in scope, depth, and satisfaction.
So, there you have it. The 10 best RPG combat systems on PS5 rank from really damn good to absolute perfection. What's wild is how different these all feel. You've got pure turn-based mastery in Persona 5 Royal, Sekiro-style parry perfection in Stellar Blade, hybrid brilliance in FF7 Rebirth, and then Elden Ring just doing everything. If you disagreed with any of these rankings, let me know in the comments. And if you haven't tried some of these, seriously, every single one brings something unique to the table. That's it for this one. Catch you in the next video.